The new Five Nights at Freddy's movie has created a lot of controversy among the public. Fans of the saga love the result, but professional critics are destroying it. Who is right? We will find out. Today on Charlietales, I will tell you the good and the bad of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Ready? Let's get to it then. My first good point is the essence of the games. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a movie inspired by a franchise that is extremely well known among gamers, so it had the task of adapting these games without ruining the original material. And without any problem, I can say that the goal was achieved. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a party for gamers. They adapted everything faithfully to the games. There is constant fan service, and the character designs could not be more identical. They introduced the toy animatronics, and they couldn't have looked better. They are colorful and deadly. We finally got to see Puppet as the disturbing creature from the games. The withered animatronics also appeared, even if only for a few minutes. And to top it off, the film ended with an animatronic fight. I think there was plenty of good fan service. The scene of Mike in the pizzeria against the withered animatronics contains the full essence of the games. It is exactly like a normal gameplay session. It was a short scene, but wonderful in its own way. We also got to see many great references. For example, the appearance of Circus Baby. I think everyone loved the way she was presented, since she is a very popular animatronic. I'm sure we will see more of her in the future, and I'm sure most of you found dozens of interesting references. It's clear that the movie wanted to please the fans, and in that sense, it totally succeeded. My second good point was Charlotte as the villain. This movie had the difficult task of continuing the story without William Afton as the villain. Faced with this situation, they took the initiative to use Charlotte as the main enemy. And I must say the decision was correct. Charlotte is presented as a vengeful and manipulative spirit who controls the protagonist to achieve her revenge. The movie does a splendid job with her, from Puppet's design to her motivations. They show us the girl's past and her childhood full of pain. We also meet her regretful father and her friendship with Vanessa. The movie explains this villain very well and genuinely fulfills her role. Some fans were annoyed that they changed certain things from the games. I'm referring to the fact that Puppet would attack through the possession of a victim. In the games, the puppet attacks by itself. It doesn't control anyone. Personally, I wasn't bothered by the change. The idea of possession seemed like a refreshing twist to give variety to the character. It also helped bring back the supernatural essence of the franchise. Remember that these games aren't simply about robots, but there is a major supernatural component. Puppet's demonic possessions fulfill that purpose. My third good point is Mike's development. This movie presents a clear advance in his character arc. In the previous movie, he was a broken young man, tormented by the death of his brother Garrett. This mystery marked his life, and he sacrificed everything to find answers. He even reached the point of losing several jobs and neglecting his little sister. In the second movie, Mike has overcome this death and found his balance by fighting to give Abby a good home. It seemed a bit sad to me that they didn't give Garrett more importance, but we must clarify that he wasn't forgotten. Mike does mention him as part of his past, and we can understand that he has overcome that loss. In the film, Mike is forced to fight these animatronics again to protect his sister, and in the end, they give us the biggest proof of Mike's maturity. The movie tells us that Vanessa has constantly lied to Mike about her past, and because of this, Abby was in danger. Faced with the situation, Mike makes the tough decision to distance himself from her. At the beginning of the second movie, he wanted to save Vanessa, but he realized that by doing so, he was putting his sister in danger. So the best option was to let her go. He adores Vanessa, both as a friend and as a romantic interest, but he has now understood that she is not someone he can trust. For better or worse, this speaks to Mike's maturity, who must protect his family before anyone else. I like that they focused on the character this way. Another good point is the promises for the future. The new FNAF movie was clearly made as a bridge toward the third installment. In this film, they introduced many characters and plotlines that will shine in the future. For example, the return of William Afton as Springtrap, or the ending with Vanessa being possessed by Puppet. I can even mention the introduction of Michael Afton. All of this promises a lot, and there is major potential for a legendary third movie. The return of William Afton clearly indicates that we will see an adaptation of the game Five Nights at Freddy's 3. This is one of the most acclaimed in the franchise, and has Springtrap as the main villain. Those who know that story understand perfectly how incredible it could be. Can you imagine a scene of Mike fighting Springtrap in a fire? I won't give more context to avoid more spoilers, but it would be insane. Now let's go with my bad points of the film. My first negative point is Michael Afton. Here I have a bit of conflict. I love the idea of including Michael Afton. I think he is a very important character with great potential. I even loved his actor. This guy radiates craziness with his appearance. However, I think they wasted him quite a lot. He had very few minutes on screen. The movie tries to present him as if he were the great mastermind behind everything, as if he had manipulated Puppet and everyone else to continue his father's legacy. The idea is good, but it feels imperfect. There aren't enough explanations to justify him as the great mastermind. It seems they tried to repeat William Afton's surprise from the first movie, but this time it doesn't work. With William, back then they introduced a lot of background. We discovered that he eliminated the children inside the animatronics, and they also explained that William manipulated the memories of these children so they would attack. So there was important context for the big reveal. In Michael's case, everything feels lacking. They didn't show us a single memory of his childhood or any interaction between him and William. I think a dialogue between the two would have been great. As I said, the idea was excellent, but poorly executed. With a couple more minutes on screen, he could have been an amazing villain. Another bad point is the lack of explanations. The movie is made for fans of the games, and this is good, but they also went overboard in certain parts. There are scenes that literally can't be understood if you haven't played the video games. For example, when Mike is in the pizzeria, about to be attacked by withered Freddy, here we see him defending himself by putting on a Freddy mask. If you've played the games, you understand why this works. But for a normal person, this makes no sense. Why would Mike try to cover himself with a mask? The logical thing in that situation would be to run. And in fact, there is an even more convoluted situation. When Mike tries to use the mask with Foxy, it doesn't work. In the games, they explain that Foxy's sensor is broken, and that's why you can't use a mask with him. But how could anyone who hasn't played the games know this? This is clearly a mistake. There's no way to defend it. These kinds of details need to be explained. It's fine to focus on fans, but you can't exclude casual audiences either. In conclusion, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a good movie. It is not the kind of film enjoyed by Hollywood critics, but it does have great moments for the audience. The movie does commit important mistakes, but despite that, it is not the disaster everyone says it is. Personally, I enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. That's all for today. If you liked the video, you'd really help me out by leaving a like. That would be legendary. Also, remember to subscribe to see more videos like this. Thanks for listening. My name is Charlie, and I'll see you in the future.